In July, southern Louisiana was hit by the worst flooding in a decade. Torrential rains turned roads into rivers and pastures into swamps. Farmhouses were waist-deep in water, fences were swept away by the current, and farm animals panicked and tried to escape as best they could. Farmers, volunteers, and rescuers searched for missing livestock. Dozens of kilometers of rural areas were flooded. Cows and horses were searched for by boat. Hills were combed, and the surrounding area was flown over by drones. Every day, more animals were found, but many were still missing. When the water receded completely, residents of a residential area noticed an unusual silhouette on the roof of one of the houses. The house was neat, with a gray-green roof and an attic, and a cow was standing on top of it. The clear sky with light clouds emphasized the strangeness of what was happening. A resident of a residential area in Louisiana went out for his morning walk along the sidewalk to check on his small garden, water his flowers, and collect his mail. The clear sky with light clouds promised a warm day, but his attention was drawn to a strange silhouette on the roof of a neighboring house. He looked closely and was surprised to see that there was indeed a cow standing on the roof, as if calmly observing the neighborhood. The man immediately called his neighbor to share his discovery. A few minutes later, the neighbor arrived, his face also expressing amazement. He said that he had been hearing strange noises coming from the roof for several days, but couldn't figure out where they were coming from. Now both men stood there, staring at the animal in amazement, trying to figure out how the cow got on the roof and how long it had been there. Realizing that they couldn't handle the situation themselves, they decided to immediately call the local rescue service. The man explained the location of the house in detail to the dispatcher, describing the size of the roof and the condition of the animal so that the rescue team could prepare for a safe operation and prevent possible injuries. 20 minutes later, an ambulance with flashing lights pulled up on the quiet suburban street. The car stopped at the curb, and the yard immediately came to life. Neighbors came out of their houses, talked over fences, and pointed to the roof, where the confused cow was still standing. The animal shifted anxiously from foot to foot, mooed, and looked down, as if not understanding how to get off the roof. Two rescuers quickly got out of the car and began to assess the situation. One walked around the house, carefully examining the roof and the adjacent yard, while the other used a radio to contact his colleagues, calling for help and a lift. The homeowner and a neighbor explained that they had been hearing strange noises coming from the roof for several days, but did not expect to see an animal there, and certainly not a cow. Meanwhile, more residents began to come out onto the street. Some filmed the scene on their phones, while others talked among themselves, discussing the incredible situation. The whole scene looked like a scene from a movie. A quiet suburb suddenly turned into the site of a strange event, where an ordinary house became an unusual pasture. A large crane with a long boom drove up to the house, and the operator carefully positioned it directly above the roof. The rescuers began to carefully prepare the ropes and cables, checking the fastenings and safety systems. The atmosphere was tense. Every step required precision, so that neither the animal nor the roof would be damaged, but everything proceeded smoothly and confidently. Two chief rescuers secured ropes around the brown and white cow and attached them to the crane's cables. The cow shifted uneasily, trying to stay on the roof, but the specialists acted calmly and methodically, constantly watching her movements. Every action was thought out in advance. No sudden movements or missteps were allowed to harm the animal or damage the roof. Neighbors watched from a safe distance, some filming the event on their phones. The crane slowly pulled on the cables, and the rescuers watched carefully to make sure the ropes did not slip. Gradually, the cow began to rise, and the atmosphere was both tense and almost unbelievable. The whole neighborhood watched as an ordinary house became the scene of a real rescue operation. When the cow was carefully lowered to the ground, rescuers immediately surrounded her and began to carefully check her condition. One of them gently ran his hand along her back and side, checking for fractures, while another carefully examined her legs, noting every abrasion. They took antiseptic and soft bandages out of the portable first aid kit and treated the wounds quickly but thoroughly. The cow stood still, breathing heavily and trembling slightly from the ordeal, but did not resist. It was clear that she was tired, but she felt that the people would not harm her. The rescuers communicated in short phrases, checking with each other to make sure they hadn't missed anything important. A few minutes later, the farmer arrived at the scene. He had been notified that the cow had been found and was safe. He parked his car right on the side of the road and hurried over to the rescuers, worried about the animal. Seeing that the cow was standing on its feet and already bandaged, the farmer visibly calmed down and breathed a sigh of relief. He thanked the rescuers and asked if the cow needed urgent veterinary care. One of the specialists explained in detail how to monitor the animal's condition, how to treat the bandages, how to observe its breathing and behavior. The atmosphere on the street became calmer. Neighbors who had gathered to watch discussed how unusual it was to see a cow on the roof, while the rescuers packed up their tools, satisfied that there had been no serious injuries. After making sure that the cow could walk on her own, the farmer carefully led her to his truck. The rescuers helped load her onto the truck. They set up a sturdy ramp, supported the animal, and calmed her with their voices and gentle movements so that she would not get scared and lose her balance. The cow slowly climbed the ramp and ended up in the truck, where the farmer secured her so that the trip would be safe. The rescuers checked the bandages on her legs again, made sure the animal was calm, and reminded the farmer to monitor the cow's behavior in the coming days. The atmosphere was tense, but joyful at the same time. The operation was a success, and everyone involved could breathe a sigh of relief. When the truck with the cow drove off, the rescuers began to pack up their equipment, folding ropes and cables, checking that nothing was left on the street. The neighbors gradually dispersed to their homes, discussing the unusual incident and sharing their impressions. One of the rescuers, smiling at the camera, said that situations like this remind us that help can come at the most unexpected moment. And we, the viewers, can also make the world safer for animals. All it takes is attentiveness and a determination to help. Sometimes a single phone call, a single moment of compassion can save someone's life. Friends, animals often find themselves in the most unexpected situations. Today, rescuers showed how important it is to be attentive and provide quick assistance. Take care of your pets, keep them safe. And remember, sometimes one phone call can save a life. Thank you for watching until the end. Please like and subscribe to our channel to support us. See you next time.